and welcome to my very first episode of a show that I'm calling The Heart of the Matter. Today we're getting to the heart of the matter with Nicole Sheppard. She is one of my best friends and one of the people who kind of inspired me to jumpstart natural hair journey where I'm teaching and all those type things. She's been a part of every one of my shows that I've had, and she definitely is a ride or die. So I'm going to allow Nicole Sheppard to introduce herself to you and tell you more about her.
Well, I am Nicole Sheppard, and I also go by Nikki Speaks, which is my podcast, and also my Instagram name, Nikki Speaks. So please follow me on those different venues. And I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I just love helping women. I also am the founder of the Voice Conference for Women, which is a local DFW Metroplex conference that will be going globally very soon. It's a conference that I kind of spearheaded that focuses on women that have issues or different experiences that they've gone through or overcome in life, and they share with an audience on the same platform how they overcame those experiences.
Nikki, speaking about that, that is exactly what this platform is. That is exactly what the heart of the matter is. It is reaching past the facade of social media and I got it all together, and allowing women or men to share a difficult time in their life, to share about it, and that way you can connect. We want to create community. We want to remove the imprisonment of secrets and also allow you to connect to someone's story. You may be going through something similar and you want to know, how did they get through it? How did they rise above it? Oh my God, I didn't even know she went through that. The title, The Heart of the Matter, is so that we can get to the root of the issue, and it's not always just the root of the problem, but the root of the issue that will allow you to rise up and overcome the situation and get through it a lot easier and stronger. So let's get into Nikki's story. If you were just joining us, we're getting to the heart of the matter with Nicole Sheppard. And we're going to allow Nikki to share about a time in her life or something that she went through that was very difficult, that a lot of people didn't even realize she was really going through, and how she got through it. So, Nikki, what specific moment that you can really think about in your life was a very tough time that you'd like to share with us today?
Well, thank you first of all, Tia, for even having me be your first guest. Yes, I'm so excited about that, and I'm so excited about your new ventures.
Thank you.
She's such a phenomenal person, period. As far as the tough time that I went through, I was that person that always dreamt of having children. Like, I knew I wanted 3 kids. I wanted to plan it. I knew I wanted to go to college, get married, and then have children. And I was able to do that, but what I didn't realize is that I had a tumor in my brain, in my pituitary gland. And it's called a prolactinoma.
Wow.
And it was a growth in my brain. And it was preventing me from having children, and because I wasn't ovulating or anything. So I went to the doctor, and they said, well, we think that you may have a prolactinoma because of my blood work. So I went.
And what did they call it again?
It's called a prolactinoma.
Prolactinoma.
So yes, it's an overgrowth of prolactin that forms a small tumor. Sometimes it will grow in size, and sometimes it'll decrease. In my case, I had to take medication for it to decrease, but I walked through that whole dark time, that sad time, because even though I knew that there was medication to help, me heal, I wasn't 100% sure that that would end up and result in a child. And so it was just a sad time for me, because here I am, really making plans to be a mother, and that was going to be the joy of my life. And of course, you always think, okay, I'll adopt if that's not the case, or what have you, but I really, really wanted to be a mother, and if anything else, And so it was a time where, I really had to rely on God. My faith was so stretched, because you're looking at doctor's reports and they're saying one thing, and you have your doubts and you have your fears and anxiety and worry, and it's like, okay, is this my story? Like, I don't want this to be my story. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to have any problems, period, which is unrealistic because we're all human.
Yeah. So the medication that they had you on, did it affect you in any kind of way?
It didn't affect me. It was a low fertility drug. You can take medication, but then there's a faith component to it as well.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so even as I was taking it, I was like, Lord, please let this be the answer. You know, I wanted the miracle. You know, I was like, Lord, just make it disappear like today. You know, scary. If you've ever had an MRI, I'm like, oh Lord, you know, and then I'm having an MRI on my brain. And so I go in there by myself. Oh, it was. And because, you know, even then, I wasn't even thinking just about the children at that point. I'm thinking about my livelihood. Like, am I going to have brain surgery? Like, I don't know.
Right.
And so I go ahead and I do all the testing. And so after the testing, they give me this big, huge folder with the brain drawn on the outside of the folder.
Oh, wow.
And like all these X's and all this stuff. And so I'm literally walking through the hospital, I remember like it was yesterday, with this huge folder that has my x-rays in it, that has a copy, you know, just a picture of a brain on the outside, and I'm like, I'm in my 20s, you know, and I'm looking around in the waiting room, and I'm just like, Lord, what is this? My husband, he was just like completely supportive. I drove down to the dental school that he was at, and basically went to his class, knocked on the door and said, can you meet me in the parking lot? So he met me in the parking lot, and I had the folder in my hand, and I just broke down into tears. And he was like, what is going on? And I was like, I have a tumor in my brain, you know. And so it was such a dark time for me, you know, and I prayed and prayed and prayed.
So I want to go backtrack a little bit. Okay. How was the moment or the time when you found out about the brain tumor? Like, how was that experience for you?
I was devastated because I didn't want to have, who wants to have anything wrong with them, period. And I think because of like the circumstances of my birth and different things leading up to how I got here, childhood issues and so forth, I wanted so desperately for my story to work, you know, and I wanted my story to be perfect, like seamless. So much so that I planned it all. You know, I planned going to college, you know, and I wanted all this to have all this control. Now here's a situation I have no control over.
Right.
You know, it's like, God, is this your will? You know, for me to have children? Is this my destiny? You know, and so I think in that moment I questioned God. I worried and I wondered, and I felt a lack of control. And it felt like when you're in that moment, it felt like it was taking forever. But just the fact that, you know, it's not. I mean, these things, I mean, they come and go, you know, and you become stronger as you go through them.
So take us to the moment when you actually found out you were pregnant and what that was like. Leading up to that, had you taken many pregnancy tests? Had you been afraid to test? Take us through that.
Okay, so I was afraid to take tests. I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be disappointed. I was like, I waited this long. I think it took about 3 months for it to shrink. And so then we started working on having a baby. Before I know it, like maybe that second month, we realized that we were pregnant. And I went in, I took the test by myself because I was like, I don't want to disappoint him. So I took the test and I was pregnant. And so when he came home, I showed we were pregnant with my son Michael. And I remember, like, I wanted that pregnancy so desperately, so I prayed over my belly every single day. Like, I had scriptures. I'm like, Lord, please, I don't want to lose this child. You know, help me whatever way you can, as I know you can, because you're God. And he just carried me through that pregnancy. And my son, 18 years old.
Yay. He's so
handsome. Thank you. And he's getting ready to graduate. And, you know, it's just, I even wrote a book about it. It's called Blessed to Conceive. I really wanted to share with other women the scriptures that I stood on, the prayers that I said.
So awesome.
My personal testimony. If you can be in health crisis, you can feel like you don't have an option as far as having a child, and I want to tell you that you do.
Yay.
You do.
I love this. Twins. She has a set of twins, and how old are the twins?
The twins are 16. So God, that's why I said there is a ram in the bush.
Yes.
And God will provide
abundantly.
Yes, abundantly. And so now I have 3 teenagers, 3 grown people that are going to be walking around this earth very soon.
So here on The Heart of the Matter, I like to ask a few questions for every interview. Okay. My first question is, what did you learn about yourself in the process?
What I've learned is that I am resilient. I feel like when I'm faced with crisis or I'm faced with an issue or a tough issue, initially there's a faith fight. I get upset, I get sad, I cry, I have a pity party. And that phase could be for like a week, it could be for a day. But then once I start plugging in and owning the situation, then I become gung-ho on resolving it. There's an approach that I use in therapy a lot. It's called solution focused. And I love it because it focuses on the solution, not so much the problem. And I think so many times we rehearse the problem, the why me, the victim mentality. I can't believe I'm going through this. I can't believe this is my story. And we don't spend enough time focusing on how to get out of that. What is the plan B? Like, had I not been able to have children, there is no way that I would have lived without having a child in my home. And so I would have adopted. I would have taken in a niece or a nephew or whatever. I mean, just because I knew that was something I desired to do.
Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give the 20-year-old Nikki who was trying to conceive and could not?
I would say to believe in your blessing, that it's coming. You can't put a time label on it or a time stamp on it. Just believe. Elicit your faith. Elicit the help of positive people that are in your corner, your circle, your cheerleaders, your prayer partners. You know, Tia and I have prayed for many different things over the course of our relationship, and it's just so empowering to know that you have a safe place to go to. Because, I mean, you're in a vulnerable state when you are in that moment when you feel alone. I mean, because I was walking through that by myself, even though my husband was very much a part of it. It was my body.
We as women, you know, we can be very private, especially when we're going through something like that. Something that is like a fertility thing. You feel maybe depressed and down, but you become extremely exclusive and private. Would you suggest being private, or would you think would be the right approach?
For me, I have learned in my 43 years of life, your private story is reserved for those people that you know that you can trust. And there are people, don't get me wrong, that you meet your coworkers or maybe, you know, friends from, you know, the community or church or what have you that are good people. It's not that they're not good people, but they may not be your people. They may not be assigned to your life.
Gems.
Yes, those gems, those diamonds. You know, look for them. If you know that you feel in your heart that your story is safe with them, then, you know, those are the people you share with. And I feel like it's definitely something you share with the masses when the time is right. And so just having good discernment, knowing that everybody doesn't need to hear your voice at the exact same time. You know, it may take a transition. You may have to get through it in order to share it. But while you're in it, in the trenches, and you need the support, you need the help, that's reserved for those people that are assigned to your life, that are in your circle, that are your prayer partners and so forth. So,
well, thank you so much for sharing your story and being so transparent. And listen, make sure that you follow her podcast, Nikki Speaks.
Please, today.
And did I mention she's a licensed counselor?
I am a licensed counselor.
So she has some great gems that she drops every week. So make sure that you tune in to Nikki Speaks. And thank you all so much for joining us for our first episode of The Heart of the Matter. Until next time, we'll see you soon.